Hello everyone, my name is Trevor Galley and I'm going to be talking to you about the Great Lakes Compact and the diversions of Great Lakes water for my national water issue. I'm going to start off by giving you an overview of the Great Lakes and then talking about the Great Lakes Compact. And then I'm going to go over the types of water diversion exceptions within the Great Lakes Compact and then give examples of each type of exemption, the straddling community diversion and the community within a straddling county diversion. So the Great Lakes are the largest body of fresh water on Earth. As you can see in the map on the top right, that they're located in northeastern North America, in between the border of Canada and the United States. The Great Lakes contain 20% of the total freshwater surface on Earth and 90% of North America's freshwater surface, with a total volume of 6 quadrillion gallons. The 5 Great Lakes, according to volume, are Lake Superior, Lake Huron, Lake Michigan, Lake Ontario, and Lake Erie. But as you can see from geography, from east to west, there are Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, Lake Huron, Lake Michigan, and Lake Superior. And the total surface area of all the Great Lakes combined is 95,160 square miles, which is larger than the state of Texas. Other natural features around the world. The area of the Great Lakes was covered by a glacier which was more than half a mile thick about 14,000 years ago. As the glacier melted and slowly moved north into what is Canada today, it left behind a series of large depressions that filled with water. These depressions formed the basic shape of the Great Lakes, and the Great Lakes took the form similar to what they are today about 10,000 years ago. There are multiple waterways that connect the Great Lakes to one another. The St. Mary's River connects Lake Superior to Lake Huron. The Straits of Mackinac connects Lakes Michigan to Lake Huron, which is the top right picture. And then the Niagara River connects Lake Erie to Lake Ontario, and the Niagara Falls are within the Niagara River, as you can see in the picture in the middle. And there are 35,000 islands within the Great Lakes, including Isle Royale National Park, which is pictured on the bottom right, and Manitoulin Island, which is the largest island in any inland body of water on the planet. Total population of 30 million people, with 10% of the United States population and 30% of the Canadian population. Some large cities that are in the Great Lakes Basin include Chicago, which is pictured on the top right, Toronto, pictured on the bottom right, and Milwaukee, Cleveland, Buffalo, among others. There's also a lot of agriculture within the Great Lakes Basin, with 7% of the United States production and about a quarter of the Canadian production. The Great Lakes St. Lawrence River Basin Water Resource Compact, or the Great Lakes Compact, is a compact between Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York, and was signed by U.S. Congress and President George W. Bush in 2008. The compact bans diversion of Great Lakes water outside of the Great Lakes Basin, except for 2 diversion exemptions. And the picture on the right highlights the land area that is the Great Lakes Basin. Diversion of water outside of the Great Lakes Basin must be a last resort, and any community applying for a diversion must demonstrate that it has exhausted all other available options for getting water. A straddling community is a community that is located partially within the Great Lakes Basin and requires diversion of Great Lakes water. Diversion applications for a straddling community do not require approval by each of the 8 states in the Great Lakes Compact unless the diversion requires a new or increased withdrawal of Great Lakes water, and the diversion will result in a consumption rate averaging 5 million gallons per day or greater within any 90-day period. A community within a straddling county is a community that's located within a county that is partially within the Great Lakes Basin and requires diversion of Great Lakes water, but the community or city itself is not within the Great Lakes Basin. And for a community within a straddling county to get a water diversion, it must be approved by each state within the compact, or the diversion is vetoed. The first straddling community diversion we're going to look at is New Berlin, Wisconsin. New Berlin is a suburb west of Milwaukee and is defined as a straddling community per the compact, since the city boundary lies partly within the Lake Michigan Basin and partly within the Mississippi River Basin. In the map on the right, you can see the kind of orange line that goes right through the middle of the map, and everything to the right of the orange line flows towards the Lake Michigan, and everything to the left of the orange line floats towards the Mississippi River. New Berlin proposed extension of water service from Lake Michigan to areas that were being served by groundwater to the left of the Lake Michigan Basin, because the groundwater was contaminated with radium, and radium is a known carcinogen. New Berlin requested an average daily service of 2.142 million gallons per day, and because that was below 5 million gallons per day, no review by the compact was required. Wisconsin DNR approved the application in May 2009, and New Berlin treats the water and sends it back to the Lake Michigan Basin through the Milwaukee Metropolitan Sewer District. The second straddling community diversion case study we're going to look at is Racine, Wisconsin, and this was kind of a precedent-setting diversion for the Great Lakes Compact. The city of Racine, Wisconsin provides water for the nearby village of Mount Pleasant, which you can see to the west of the city of Racine on the map. The city of Racine is defined as a straddling community per the compact, since most of the area of Mount Pleasant lies within the Lake Michigan Basin, with the southwestern portion of the village lying on the other side of the subcontinental divide within the Mississippi River Basin. The diversion area includes part of the area identified by Racine County as the future site of the Foxconn Technology Group development project, which has made national headlines for both political and economic reasons during the past few years. The diverted water used by the village of Mount Pleasant was to be treated at the Racine wastewater treatment plant and returned to Lake Michigan. And since this water diversion had a large spotlight on it due to being involved with the Foxconn development project, a group of petitioners challenged the Wisconsin DNR approval of the diversion request by the city of Racine. After a public hearing, Wisconsin DNR held the approval of the diversion request, and in June 2019, a Wisconsin administrative law judge upheld the Wisconsin DNR approval of the diversion request. Next, I'm going to go over a community within a Stradling County diversion case study with Waukesha, Wisconsin. The city of Waukesha has traditionally relied on deep groundwater aquifers for its water supply, and the groundwater supply has radium concentrations above the water quality standard under the Safe Drinking Water Act. As a result, the city of Waukesha has supplemented the water supply by drawing up about 5.8 million gallons per day of water from a shallower groundwater aquifer to reduce those radium concentrations. Under a 2009 Wisconsin Circuit Court judgment, the city of Waukesha was required to develop a permanent solution to the radium contamination problem by June 30th of 2018, and the court order was later amended to September 1st, 2023, in order for Waukesha to install the necessary infrastructure for the project. The city of Milwaukee will supply Waukesha with enough treated Lake Michigan water to meet an average daily demand of 8.2 million gallons per day. After use, the diverted water is to be treated by the city of Waukesha and returned to Lake Michigan via the Root River. The Root River's headwaters are in the Lake Michigan basin and is east of the city of Waukesha, and the river flows in a southern and easterly direction until it enters Lake Michigan in Racine, Wisconsin, about 25 miles south of Milwaukee. And as you can see, the map on the right shows the diversion of the Lake Michigan water to Waukesha, and then the treated wastewater coming back from Waukesha into the Lake Michigan basin to the Root River, where it eventually goes to Lake Michigan. The Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Cities Initiative petitioned this diversion approval for additional review by the Compact, and the Compact Council voted not to reconsider the initial approval in April of 2017. I'd like to thank you for listening to my presentation on the Great Lakes Compact and water diversions from the Great Lakes. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.